ब्रेक पछि यहाँहरुलाई स्वागत छ। यहाँहरु हेर्दै हुनुहुन्छ दिस मर्निङ लाइभ ग्यालेक्सी 4K च्यानलमा। सरिता र म यहाँको सामु आइसकेका छौं र आज सरिता हामीले अघिदै भने अनुसार हाम्रो आज एकदम विशेष अतिथि हुनुहुन्छ।
हामी ग्यालेक्सी न्यूजमा जानुभन्दा अगाडि समीरले हाम्रो अतिथिको बारेमा छोटकरीमा भनेको थियो। हो, हाम्रो अतिथि अहिले हामीसँग आइसक्नु भएको छ। उहाँ युएस एम्बेसी काठमाडौँका स्पोक्सपर्सन हुनुहुन्छ, एना Richey-Allen। उहाँ हामीसँग आइसक्नु भएको छ। एना, वेलकम टु आवर शो।
Namaste. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So are we. Real quick, are you a morning person? Was it hard for you to get up early and come here today?
I am not a morning person. Yes, it was very hard for me to get up. Fortunately, I have a dog that comes right up to my bed and licks my face. So I got up.
So you have a natural alarm.
I do. Natural alarm, I guess.
So, moving on to the conversation. First of all, once again, thank you for making the time to come to our show. So you have been in Nepal since 2020 September.
2020 September, that is right.
That you came right in the middle of a pandemic, things were all shut down, difficult. How has your tenure been since then coming up till today?
Well, it's been really interesting. So you have to recall that September 2020 was also before vaccines.
Of course.
So I do feel like up until now, we've had Delta, we've had Omicron,
Yes.
so I'm finally able to get out as we all are, which is why I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's been a different tour. I can't wait to explore Nepal more and have enjoyed what I have been able to explore so far.
Once again, congratulations for the recent 75th anniversary, the relationship Nepal and US had. So, as you mentioned, you have been here for a while now. What are the further plans that you are planning to move forward? How are you planning to move forward now?
Sure. So I personally would love to see more of Nepal. Right. So I've seen Pokhara, which is fantastic and beautiful.
Absolutely.
I've seen Chitwan with my family, where a rhino walked right past and ran. It was a little too close for comfort, but it was fantastic, a unique experience. And then I went to Lake Rara with the ambassador, from the United States, and that was just absolutely amazing to meet the community, to see Lake Rara. It was such a unique experience. I hope more people go.
Absolutely. Anna, now, Sarita brought up the topic of Nepal-US friendship, 75th anniversary. That's 75 years is a long time.
Yes.
We're talking like 3 generations, right? So
yes.
So a lot has happened since 75 years ago.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what are the highlights that come to mind when you think about US and Nepal relationships as regards Nepal?
Sure. Well, as you said, 75 years is a long time.
Absolutely.
For both our countries, we have gone through tremendous change. In the United States, we went through civil rights, war, etc. We've both run just recently through the pandemic. And together, we are friends. We stand by one another. I think some of the things that tie us, if you think about it, the United States and Nepal, geographically, are really far apart.
True.
And yet we have each other's backs together. When Americans think of Nepalis, they think of incredible cultural aspects, traditions, advancements in health and medicine, contributions to UN peacekeeping. And here in Nepal, the United States has partnered with Nepal and the government of Nepal so much. So interestingly, not only is it the 75th anniversary of our friendship, but it is the 60th anniversary of the Peace Corps here in Nepal. And I think everybody has a story about a Peace Corps volunteer coming here. In many ways, I think that Peace Corps volunteers are the original diplomats, right? I sit here in a suit and a blazer in an office, but the Peace Corps volunteers are really the ones in the villages, digging, teaching schools. And then, of course, we have USAID programming, which has done and partnered with the government of Nepal and partners for almost 70 years. So it's 70 years in Nepal. Interestingly, also 60 years throughout the world is how old
Right.
USAID is.
Right.
And for USAID here in Nepal, they have, first of all,
Right.
helped eradicate malaria,
Of course. Of course.
which is an incredible
Right.
feat. In the 1950s, when
Right.
USAID was just starting,
Right.
the USAID-Nepal partnered with the government
Right.
to eradicate malaria. At that time, 25% of Nepal was affected by malaria. Can you imagine?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And just a decade later, the cases were down to 2,000.
Right. Right.
True. As you just mentioned, when we think about US-Nepal relationships, these are the things that we think about: eradication of malaria, Peace Corps, and recently we talk about how US helped us during COVID with the vaccines, all these things, and we just mentioned 75 years of friendship has just been celebrated, and we look for more years down the road. I also wanted to ask, what is this? I usually hear this term a lot, AFCP program. What does that really mean? What is that?
It's a fantastic program. It's the Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation.
Okay.
So it goes along with our belief and our desire to help Nepal preserve the artifacts, the buildings that are so important to Nepali culture. So we did Gadi Baitak
Yeah.
as one of our projects.
Right. Right.
And we have 25 throughout the country. Nepali culture and tradition is very important to us, but we also know that in countries it's part of the national pride, right? So it's something that we love to support and are happy to do so.
Right. So we remember communicating with the ambassador on the Gadi Baitak restoration program that your government helped. Nepal government is now it's been open to the public. It looks amazing.
Yes.
Now, besides that, we understand that you are helping with the preservation activities around Nepal in different parts of Nepal, including Lalitpur.
Yes.
What are your how do you identify where you want to be involved and also assist in the preservation, heritage preservation parts of Nepal?
So I think we look around the country and what are the most needed areas and where it would help the most.
Right.
Not only that, so we help with the preservation of these buildings and areas, but we also help bring back stolen relics, and stolen, I guess, idols is what you would say. Recently, just in the last year, we helped bring back Lakshmi Narayan.
Yes, you did.
And since that moment, I've noticed an influx of returned idols to Nepal, be it from museums, private donors, all realizing that these relics need to come back and be in their original communities.
Absolutely.
As a Nepali, I wanted to ask you this. As you mentioned, Nepal is very rich in its culture and heritage, and U.S. government and U.S. Embassy has always helped us and supported us in various matters. What do you think we as Nepali should focus on things? You as American spokesperson from U.S. Embassy, what do you think Nepal should focus on more so that this relationship in the days to come will be better, or maybe we can take it in advanced way?
So Nepal and the United States have always been close, and I think will continue to be close. What's needed now for both our countries is a focus on joining forces to combat the climate crisis, which will greatly affect Nepal and the Himalayan regions. One of the reasons we went to Lake Rara, as well as revitalizing democracy in both our countries and around the world.
Okay. Absolutely.
We still have a lot of questions. हामीसँग हाम्रो अतिथिसँग सोध्नुपर्ने अझै धेरै प्रश्नहरू छन्, अझै धेरै छलफलहरू हामीले गर्न बाँकी छ। तर अहिलेलाई भने एउटा छोटो ब्रेकको समय भएको छ। ब्रेकपछि हामी फेरि हाम्रो अतिथिका साथ आउने नै छौँ। अहिलेलाई भने एउटा ब्रेक।
यहाँलाई फेरि पनि स्वागत छ दिस मर्निङ लाइभ ग्यालेक्सी 4K मा हामीसँग अमेरिकी राजदूतावासका प्रवक्ता अहिले हाम्रो अतिथि भएर बस्नु भएको छ र उहाँसँग हामीहरू कुराकानी कन्टिन्यू गर्छौँ. So Anna, going back to our ongoing conversation. By the way, you're doing great. We're having a great conversation with you. Thank you so much. As we move along, now I want to move a bit into education. Now, a lot of young Nepali minds find the US as a prime destination, and it's a dream.
Yeah.
You know, country of dreams that we call
Yeah.
America,
Yeah.
right? My daughter included. So everyone wants to go there. Now, with COVID, there was a bit of a hold. A lot of students want to go there, and people are stuck. How do you see education now bouncing back in the US, international education from different countries, now that the pandemic is pretty much, I would say, not over, but controlled?
Sure. Well, in general,
Right.
there has been a problem with
Right.
education, people going to school, right, in the United States.
Right.
Many schools were shut down, went virtual. And so that has affected the world
Right.
and whether or not students
Right.
even go to the United
Right.
States. But I understand it. Both of you studied in the United
Of
States.
course, yes.
And you know, as much as I, that it's a wonderful place to get an education.
Right.
So we want to continue to encourage people to study in the United States. Before the pandemic, Nepal, interestingly, was the 12th country for having students in the
Wow.
United States, which is incredible.
Wow, 12.
Given the size.
Wow.
True,
Yeah,
true.
right? And so we want to continue that. We look forward to the moment where more and more students can come visit us and study.
Just now we talked about that. How comfortable right now, if we talk about, we just went through COVID, and now we are also having a really hard time bringing our tourists in our country. So how comfortable do US citizens feel right now if they have to come to Nepal, or what kind of message do they get if they want to travel Nepal right now?
Yeah, so I think that more and more we're seeing tourists get out. I know that I was just in Tamil. I saw a bunch of US tourists, right? And I think there's still maybe some bit of wariness for any traveler to go anywhere.
Right.
But I'm so happy to see people come. I know that just recently we had this group come to climb Mount Everest.
Yep.
They were actually they're the first all-black team
Yes.
to attempt to
Yes.
climb,
Yes.
and they're there right now. So we're cheering them on. But I hope also that things like that, historical events, people coming more and more, spread the word. First of all, about how wonderful Nepal is.
Right.
But secondly, that Nepal right now is a great place to travel.
Now, on the opposite side, there are Nepalis wanting to go to US.
Yeah.
There are students wanting to go to US to study.
Yes.
There are tourists wanting to go to US as a tourist or medical or visit their family. But then we have heard that in recent days, the visa, there's a long delay or long line for a visa appointment, getting the visa. What can you tell us about any updates or what the reason behind it?
Sure. I understand. I hear the same, right? They hear, you work for the U.S. Embassy? So, yeah, unfortunately, as with everything, for the past 2 years, things have been delayed.
Right.
So you can imagine how much backlog we actually have and are getting through.
Right.
We look forward so much to the day where we are all set to give people visas as they apply. Right now, thank you for asking this. I just want to say that I hope people can be a little bit patient with us as we get through all of the applications.
So the 2 years of backlog is the issue, you think?
And I think it's not only for U.S. Embassy, that's the case
it's a lot.
with all the embassies right now. You just mentioned that you had people come over and they're scaling Mount Everest right now. And us having a lot of these highest snow-covered peaks, right now I just said snow covered, but because of the climate change, most of our mountains do not even have snow anymore. I hear a lot that US Embassy is also focusing on climate change and in relations to Nepal. How are we taking it further? What are we doing on climate change?
Sure. So it's actually a US government priority is to focus on building resiliency against climate change. So climate change is not a question anymore. It's clear it's a crisis. It needs to be addressed. I think that we can't necessarily stop it, but we can build a resiliency to the effects of climate change. So one of the things globally that we're trying to do is get people to sign on to limiting emissions. It's important that we limit the temperatures from increasing by 0.0%, 1 point.
I think 0.1%. I think 0.1 degrees so.
Degrees Celsius.
Right.
So that's where we're at.
Right.
We're working with Nepal, the government of Nepal, who has also dedicated and committed to similar commitments to the international community.
We know that you're helping with the heritage preservation, you're helping with the climate, not just Nepal, but as a country. Now, with in the embassy in Nepal, which you represent today, what will your priorities be? We have celebrated 75 years, working together, and it's been very successful. Now, as we move on to the next years, will the assistance the U.S. government is giving to Nepal, will it remain same, or are your priorities changing a little bit, and you're going to move into different areas? So, what will be the move forward from the U.S. government for Nepal as we move forward?
Sure. Our goals here are to support Nepal in becoming a prosperous, sovereign, democratic values country. And so whatever we do, we keep that in mind and we try to move forward. Climate change, again, is a huge priority. That affects everything. It affects the economy. It affects the stability of a country, including our own. Another one, as I said previously, is supporting democratic resiliency. That is also a global priority, of course. We've seen, even within the United States, challenges in regards to democratic values. So those are, I'd say, the top priorities that we have, and we'll do everything that we can to help support it here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, we cannot focus enough on the long relationship that these two countries have had in the past and will have in the future. We just mentioned a few things like climate crisis and the vaccination program, eradication of malaria, all these things. While dealing with these things, we obviously have to work with Nepal government, and all the time it's not easy, but I just wanted to know from your side how easy or how receiving or how listening, good listeners, has our government been, and how hard or easy has it been to work with us?
Working with Nepal, everyone is really gracious and wanting to listen and wanting to work with us. And for that, it's been a fantastic experience.
Thank you.
So now we're almost at the end of the program. You will be surprised. I know off air. We told you the 20 minutes that we have with you, 20 minutes goes very fast, and you won't even feel it. But we are almost at the end of the conversation. Now, let's move away from diplomacy, international relations. Let's just for a minute focus on you. We know you are a great baker. Baker. Tell us something about your baking interests, please.
Sure. So I'm a baker.
Right.
And I bake cakes that are specialty cakes, usually carved in the shape of something else. So I have made big dinosaur cakes. I have made airplane cakes that have propellers that move.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
Well, seen
it's
your Instagram post, so it's pretty very interesting. And I hope one day we'll get to test some of that.
No, and I'm thinking when we celebrate our anniversary of our show, maybe we'll have.
We will reserve you in advance.
Absolutely, please do.
Again, congratulations to both of us for this recent 75th anniversary. Thank you so much for getting up early and making this time for us. And we would like to thank your dog also, who helps you wake up early in the morning. Thank you so much. It was our pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
कस्तो भयो?
राम्रो भयो. रमाइलो भयो.
रमाइलो भयो. एकदमै
एकदम रमाइलो
भयो. हामीलाई पनि एकदमै रमाइलो भयो. हाम्रो अतिथिसँगको यो कुराकानीपछि एउटा छोटो ब्रेक लिने बेला भएको छ. त्यसपछि फेरि हामी हाम्रो युजुअल सेक्सनमा आइ नै हाल्छौँ. अहिलेलाई भने एउटा छोटो ब्रेक.